Hey everybody, I'm Ryan McCaffrey, the creator and host of the weekly Tesla Motors podcast called Ride the Lightning, the Tesla Motors Unofficial podcast. And it has been over 2 years now, 2 years since I started the podcast. And I have to say, I've been humbled and just honored, just so grateful that it has found an audience. It has exceeded my absolute wildest expectations as far as finding an audience. There's a good group of you out there now that seem to enjoy and tune into the podcast each and every week. So, the podcast, it's my way of trying to contribute something positive to the fantastic Tesla community that I've just been watching from afar for many years now, without yet having my own Tesla. I'm on the Model 3 reservation list. I'm saving up for that. So, as far as the podcast goes, why have I launched a Patreon? Well, primarily it is because the show has, again, this is a good problem to have, but it has grown. It has grown a lot in popularity, and it's taking up a lot more of my time. What began as something that I would just kind of look at the web all week for, which I was doing anyway, and then spend an evening recording and putting together, has now evolved into something that takes up a pretty significant chunk of my week as far as the evenings and weekends. I've got to research the topics, prepare my thoughts on those topics, listen to your excellent calls in the Ride the Lightning hotline and respond to those. And then there's recording the podcast. That's actually the easy part. And then editing it and publishing it. So it's basically turned into its own little part-time job. And if you've been with me for a while, or if you go back and look at the early podcasts, they started out as around 25 minutes apiece, and now they're pretty much almost never shorter than 45 minutes apiece. Sometimes, and they'll often get to an hour or so every week. And I'm really proud to say that I've wanted it to be consistent, and it has. Every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, that new episode hits your podcast feed. So I've been reliable. I've been there for you. And so, I wanted to just try and work hard to put myself in a position where I could even ask for support on Patreon. And I want to be clear that whether or not you choose to pledge to my Patreon for this podcast, it won't change anything about the podcast as you've been enjoying it. I want to be explicitly clear about that. I don't want to put up any artificial walls, no walled gardens, nothing like that. Instead, if you do choose to pledge to the Patreon, you're gonna get a little bit more. I want to offer you a little bit more, whether it's the extra bonus episode every month that's just Patreon exclusive, where it's all the extra Ride the Lightning hotline calls to talk a little more Tesla every month, or there's another tier that has a Google Hangout with me to hang out and talk Tesla. So you can take a look at the Patreon page and see what's up there for you. There are other things as well. So in conclusion, I just want to say I hope you will consider being a Patreon for my Tesla podcast. If you've been listening to it, if you enjoy it, if you've been getting a lot out of it every week, hopefully it's something you might consider, whether it's $1, $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, or whatever you choose. You can definitely feel comfortable that you're going to continue to get a Tesla podcast that I pour my heart into, my soul into, my Tesla knowledge into, and certainly my Tesla enthusiasm into each and every week. So thank you all so much for checking out this video and checking out my Patreon, and happy electric motoring.